I'd like to say that this is breaking news, but it's probably better to describe it as covered up news that I am now breaking. Back on November 4th, 2025, Board of Elections member Rick Grant, who is also the vice chair of the Republican Party in Clermont County, resigned from the Clermont County Board of Elections. I broke a story back in June of 2025, on June 17th in particular, and not a lot of people know what kind of happened. And I wonder if you might share with me kind of what happened and what your condition is, and know that you're in a lot of people's thoughts and prayers.
I had a stroke in November
Of 24?
Yes.
That Rick Grant had been missing in action because he had a serious stroke somewhere between November 5th and November 13th of 2024. How do I know that? Because Rick Grant attended the Board of Elections meeting on November 5th, 2024, but then hadn't attended any meeting since then. I knew he hadn't attended any Republican meetings as well. So I started turning up the heat on what is going on here. What is the cover-up going on with Rick Grant? On July 16th, the Board of Elections, in violation of its own meeting policy that said at the time it had to have their regular meetings at their own offices, the Board of Elections had a meeting at Sam Haven on July 16th, basically to give Rick Grant a ticky mark. It became clear in that meeting that Rick Grant was not cognitively capable of serving on a Board of Elections. Sound familiar? It's kind of the Joe Biden story, but a Clermont County spin on it. So there was another meeting of the Board of Elections then on August 18th. That meeting took place at the commissioner's office, once again in violation of their meeting policy at the time, but Rick Grant was there. And it was clear there that he was not cognitively capable of serving as a Board of Elections member.
Rick, do you have a motion to reject that?
Yes, I would motion to
Mr. Grant has moved to reject Mr. Cruz's petition.
You good?
Pending.
Pending SOS approval. Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Grant has moved that we.
During the meeting, other board members would say sentences, Rick, did you mean to say this? And he'd go, and that would then get in the minutes that Rick Grant had motioned this, or Rick Grant had said this. It was a charade that was going on. He was not cognitively capable. After the meeting, I tried to talk to Rick Grant and ask him a very simple question about what he thought were the most important things from the meeting. What did you think? Could you outline what you thought were the most important decisions made today by the Board of Elections? And he sort of froze up. Again, very clear that he wasn't cognitively capable. Look, nobody wants to see somebody decline. Nobody wants to see somebody become cognitively incapable of functioning, but it happens. It happened with Joe Biden, and it happened with Rick Grant. It was covered up with Joe Biden, and it's been covered up with Rick Grant. I went to another Board of Elections meeting on September 10th and had the same experience that Rick Grant was not cognitively capable of serving on a Board of Elections or the Board of Elections in Clermont County. So now let's fast forward up to November 4th, where Rick Grant resigns from the Board of Elections. Now, the Republican Party, since he's a Republican member, makes a recommendation to the Secretary of State on who should replace Rick Grant on the Board of Elections. Well, I didn't even know this was going on. I didn't know Rick Grant had resigned. Shame on me. I guess if I had gone to the Board of Elections meeting, I would have found this out. Maybe it's been posted somewhere and I just haven't noticed. But so the Republican Party has to do a recommendation to Secretary of State Frank LaRose on who should replace Rick Grant. And so as usual, everything is totally secret. I find out only because in my local township, Union Township, the Secretary, Rob Wing, circulated information to committee members from Union Township, which is about, I think, 38 of 156 members seats are Union Township. So he circulates at the instruction of Andy Capel, the chair for Union Township, information about this. And turns out there's a meeting on November 15th, a closed-door executive committee meeting at the party headquarters at 197 East Main Street to review candidates and make a recommendation. Well, here's what's so fun about it. is that there's already 3 candidates on the agenda. This is how cronyism works. Is never announced broadly apparently announced to some people on the Republican committee, but not other people. And so the agenda at the time it was circulated by Rob Wing for this closed door meeting of the executive committee says the 3 candidates, Tim Rudd, Mike Keeley, and Rick Herron. So those are the 3 candidates. I have now put my name in. I applied or asked to be recommended for this position back, I believe it was March of 2025. I was actually, I think, the second vote getter, and we'll see what happens. These people are not a fan of me, but I like to kind of put it on the spot. Are we about cronyism? Are we about merit? So I, in my package, highlighted an unbelievable wealth of experience I have in terms of election matters, and for example, getting Alan Freeman and Gene Schmidt found liable for campaign finance issues relating to Larry Householder, getting David Ubel off the ballot for forging his part petitions. I have a whole history of doing things that involve the Board of Elections that have been very positive and very productive if we care about election integrity. I got the cameras fixed on the ballot box. So I put in that material, that experience, but I also put in a 7-point plan to improve our Board of Elections. And so that plan will kind of put it to people, the 7 points will kind of put it to people do we have any plan to really improve? Or is this just about somebody collecting some coin to be on the Board of Elections and being a yes man? So I put forward an actual 7-point plan for our Board of Elections to make improvements there. We'll see what happens. It's a snowball's chance in hell that I would ever get actually appointed to this, recommended or appointed. But I'll try, because I'll try to make the point to get people to think about how we improve in Clermont County. Not how we improve by getting our friends and cronies or the same old faces back in positions, sucking at the taxpayer tit, but how do we improve for the citizens of Clermont County? So the meeting is on November 15th, Saturday, 9 a.m. It's a closed door meeting, so it is what it is of the executive committee. I've asked that chairman of the party, David Painter, who has control over who's allowed to come to any given executive committee meeting, that he would open the doors up for anybody that would like to sit and quietly observe. It's an executive committee meeting, so just being present doesn't mean anybody has a right to speak, but there's no reason why at least central committee members are not allowed to sit and quietly observe the process.